You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans! Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk, and there's a lot of football to get to today, along with one interesting basketball story, but I gotta start with a rumor surrounding my beloved Justin Door the Sufferings, otherwise known as the New York Jets. Supposedly, they are interested in signing Jack Conklin. Mike Florio said that it's basically a fait accompli that Conklin will sign with the Jets. But then Adam Schefter said, well, hold your horses. It's not a guarantee. He may sign somewhere else. I like Jack Conklin a lot. I think Jack Conklin is one of the best right tackles in the game. And Jack Conklin would make a ton of sense for the Jets. Ever since he entered the league out of MSU, he's been one of the best right tackles in football. And there's really not much else to say other than the Jets desperately need to keep Sam Darnold upright, and Jack Conklin will help them do that. The only thing that I'll say is, I'd be a little upset to see Brandon Shell go. I like Shell. I understand he got hurt last year, and if the Jets can improve, you do it. I get that. But offensive line continuity is really important. Darnold has been with Shell for his whole career. I understand it's only 2 years, but still, you gotta start somewhere. It would upset me a little to see Shell go, but if the Jets can get Jack Conklin, it would make perfect sense. I don't see a downside to signing him. Are they going to have to pay him a lot of money? Yes. I have no idea how much he'd want to get when March 18th rolls around, my birthday. You got to think he'd want to be close to the highest paid right tackle in football. I don't think he'd eclipse Lane Johnson or Trent Brown, but certainly Jawan James is very possible. He's really young, too. He's only 26 years old, or he's 25 now. He'll be 26 when the season starts. So, it's very possible that he could be signed for 6 years at, let's say, 15 mil. That'd be an incredibly high contract, but it's certainly possible. I could certainly see a team doing that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Conklin. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Jets. I said this before. I know exactly how I'm going to handle NFL free agency along with March Madness. I guess I'll say it now because we've got 2 weeks before March Madness starts and NFL free agency. So I guess I'll do it now. Okay. I'll reiterate this as it gets closer, but here's what I'm gonna do. The Jacob Valk Show will not air daily during the week of March 16th. You will get a show March 16th, however. You just won't get a show every day that week. March 16th, I'll be previewing the first 4, along with maybe NFL free agency. I have an interview lined up with a friend of mine. I'm going to confirm it with him when it gets closer to March 16th. But my plan is to preview March Madness and NFL free agency with him. If for whatever reason something comes up in his life that he can't do it, I'll reschedule the interview, but it just means that we won't be previewing March Madness and NFL free agency. But March 16th, you will definitely get a first 4 preview. March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, no show. March 18th, my birthday, no show. March 19th, you will get a preview of every game of the round of 64. That's 32 games. March 20th, no show. March 21st, round of 32 preview. March 22nd, no show. March 23rd is when I'm going to do the NFL free agency recap. I'm going to go team by team and go through everything that those teams did. Whether it's free agency, trades, you name it. I want to wait a week because, A, March Madness is a little more time sensitive, and B, usually when a team strikes out on their initial targets, they wait a couple days to go after their secondary targets. So I'm gonna wait a week to do my NFL free agency recap. And that is what's gonna happen. I think that's the best way to do it. If you have any other suggestions, please tweet them at me, at RealJacobValk, but I really think that that is the best way of doing this. Okay, back to NFL news, specifically a very interesting rumor surrounding the Dolphins. Now, this has been percolating for a while, but it's reached a boiling point. Supposedly, the Dolphins are very, very high on Jordan Love and not as high on Tua as we all thought they were. In fact, there was one report I saw that said that the Dolphins may have to trade up to get him. Not from 5. They have 5, 18, and 26. But supposedly they may have to trade up from 18 to get him. I'm not as high on Jordan Love as most people. Does he have a cannon for an arm? Yes. I've said this before, the guy missed his calling. He should have been a baseball pitcher. I'd love to see him throw a fastball. I think it would hit 100 easy. But he needs a lot of work before he becomes an effective NFL quarterback. His field vision is really bad. He locks onto his primary target and just doesn't move off him too much. I don't think he's very smart with the football. And I don't like that he's coming from a small school in Utah State. He also, and this is the biggest knock to me, in 2018, great year. Over 3,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 picks. Last year, 3,400 yards. Not a huge drop-off, but still, it's a drop-off. 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. The guy got exponentially worse. I wouldn't touch him in the first round in a perfect world. My order for quarterbacks, and I've thought about this a lot, is Burrow, Tua, Herbert, Eason, Fromm, Love. And Fromm and Love, I don't think you should take in the first round. You want to take them in the second round, fine. I would not take them in the first round in a perfect world. And if you want to put Herbert ahead of Tua, just because you're scared off by Tua's injury, you can. Herbert had a good combine. I get that. Tua supposedly didn't interview well with teams. He didn't do any drills, but supposedly he didn't give good answers to questions. I saw a rumor that his father ticked some teams off. Whatever. The point is, I have Tua ahead of Herbert. If you want to have Herbert ahead of Tua, that's fine. I understand that. Jordan Love to me is not a first-round prospect, but having said that, the Miami Dolphins are in a really interesting spot here. As it stands right now, they have 12 picks in this draft. Now, that may go up and that may go down, depending on what happens in the next 2 months. But as of right now, we have 12 picks slated to go to the Miami Dolphins. Because they have those 12 picks, they can get a little, I hate to say it, creative with how they use them. Now, the last thing I would do is trade up for Jordan Love. Take Jacob Eason if you're going to trade up. But if you wanted to take Love at 26, if you're the Dolphins, especially since you'll have already had 2 picks, I don't mind that. I really do not mind that. And if you think that Love is your guy, fine. Take him. Have Fitzpatrick start early on and hand the reins over to Love when you think he's ready. Brings up an interesting question, what you're going to do with Josh Rosen. I still like Rosen. I think if you put him on a team like the Bears, he'd do really well. Even the Colts, I think he'd do well. The Dolphins are in a very interesting position, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with them in the NFL draft. I do have an interesting way of how I'm going to do my NFL mock draft, though. It's something that I did last year. I'll leave you in suspense, but I have something lined up that's going to be really, really special for a week before the draft. Moving over now to Brian Balaga, and this is from Tom Silverstein and Jim Ozarski of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. If I butchered your name, Jim, I apologize. But they reported that the Packers have not had any talks with Balaga's camp since the end of the season. And it is growing increasingly likely that the lifetime Packer will have to suit up for another team. I really like Balaga. Yeah, he's dealt with injury concerns, and he's not getting any younger. He's going to be 31 when the season starts. But having said that, every year, when he's been on the field, he's been really, really good. He's been a seminal reason why Aaron Rodgers has been as good as he is. Not to take anything away from Rodgers, but we all know that a bad offensive line can doom a quarterback. With that O-line that's been anchored by Balaga for so long, Rodgers hasn't had to worry about that. Also, the Packers, historically, have been very good at trying to keep their lifers around for their whole career. I understand Brett Favre. I get that. But if you go way, way, way back into their history, Bart Starr, Don Hudson, Ray Nitschke, they have done a very good job of keeping those guys around for a very, very long time. It'll be weird to see Balaga playing for another team. I want the Packers to bring him back, but I understand that the injury concerns and his age means that they may have to get younger. I don't love the fact that they're possibly getting rid of him, but I really can't kill it either. Moving over now to Joe Schobert, and this is from Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com, a very, very good sports writer. She does a great job covering the Browns. She said that the Browns will let him walk in free agency. Supposedly, he's looking for at least $10 million, and the Browns want to save their cap space to upgrade what was a terrible offensive line last year. Schobert's a talented player. In his sophomore and junior seasons, he looked really good, and it looked like the Browns were going to keep him around for a long time. But he took a major, major step back last year. Then again, everyone did for the Browns. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Freddie Kitchens was a terrible, terrible coach. I think he'll be fine for the Giants as their tight ends coach. What the hell is the tight ends coach doing anyway? That's not the issue. The issue is letting Schobert walk. I gotta say, I actually kind of like it. He's not worth $10 million a year. He's coming off a really bad year, and it's very risky to give a guy a big free agent contract when he's coming off a bad year. Could it be that the league has figured him out? Now, I don't mind a team signing him. Schobert's a fine player. And can he get back on track? Yes. But do not give him $10 million a year. I don't mind the Browns cutting bait at all. Especially if their reason is to save the money for their O-line. They only had 2 good offensive linemen last year. And that was their left guard, Joel Bitonio, and their center, J.C. Treader. Greg Robinson was terrible. Austin Corbett's a bust. Chris Hubbard was terrible. Justin McCray was terrible. Eric Kush was terrible. If the Browns are planning to make a major investment in their O-line, it is the smartest thing that they can do. Baker Mayfield, I still have a lot of confidence in. You can see the talent. Alright, it's there. He was just saddled with a terrible coach. And a terrible offensive line. Give him another year. Let Stefanski work with him. Supposedly, this is the guy that DePodesta wanted from the beginning. So, let's see if DePodesta was right. It's put up or shut up time for Mayfield. I'm with you there. This is his 3rd offensive system and his 4th head coach in his 3 years in the league. Now, that's not his fault, but he really can't get too many chances after Stefanski. The only way that Mayfield can survive Stefanski because given the Browns' track record, he's going to be out of there in 2-3 years. The only way that Mayfield survives Stefanski is if he puts together Pro Bowl caliber seasons. Now, can he do that? Yes. But he doesn't get the luxury of saying, I was saddled with a bad coach. That's the excuse for last year. It's not the excuse for this year. You can say you had a bad offensive line last year. And this year, it may well be the case again. But the simple fact is, it's put up or shut up time for Mayfield. He's gotta get back to the trajectory that he was on after his rookie year. It's just that simple. And I think he can do it. I really, really do. I think that the Browns have their guy. Moving on now to Yannick Ngakoue. And he wants out of Jacksonville. He made that very clear on Twitter. The Jaguars are going to put the franchise tag on him. And he is done in Duval. I cannot say that I blame him for wanting to get out. This is a team that not that long ago was in the AFC title game, and they have crashed and burned epically. It's kind of funny when we talk about dysfunctional NFL franchises. We talk about the Browns, we talk about the Jets. We don't talk about the Jaguars, and this is a team that had one of the best defenses in the NFL not that long ago, and now it's looking like they're going to be dismantling it. Jalen Ramsey, gone. Telvin Smith, gone. Marcel Darius, gone. Everyone on that team that was really close to beating the Patriots, gone. Shahid Khan is their owner, and he is without question one of the worst owners in sports. We all know that he wants to move the team to London. We all know he doesn't like being in Jacksonville. He wants there to be a team called the London Jaguars or the London Silly Nannies. Whatever. He wants to move the team to London. We all know that. And he has single-handedly screwed over the Jacksonville fans. He let Tom Coughlin run amok. He let him sign Nick Foles to an ungodly contract that, look, I liked it at the time, but now it looks terrible. You're going to have to decide between him and Minshew. I got news for you. Minshew's not a world beater. Now, I like Minshew. I think everyone likes Minshew. But he's not great. I can't necessarily say that I blame Ngakoue for wanting out. I feel like everyone wants out of Jacksonville at some point. I wish I could say something to make you feel better, Jaguars fans, but I can't. I think you guys are in for a few really, really bad seasons. As for what the Jaguars can get for Ngakoue, assuming they trade him, which seems like a very fair assumption, Ngakoue, ever since he entered the league, has been one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. If memory serves, his rookie year, he led all rookies in sacks with 8. His coverage skills have gotten much better since he came out of Maryland. It's not crazy at all to think that he could get a second, maybe a first. Frank Clark got a first. Frank Clark got a late first. So, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Ngakoue got a first. You're not going to get a Khalil Mack type haul for him. I don't think he's at that level, but a late first rounder for Ngakoue or an early second, very, very possible. I thought about him on the Jets. I'm not crazy about that fit. I just don't know where you play him. Realize, he plays in a 4-3. You really want to try to switch him over to 3-4? Give him a huge contract? And then hope for the best? The list of guys to go from 4-3 to 3-4, or vice versa, successfully, is very small. Could Greg Williams make it work? Yes. But if I was the Jets, I'd rather they focus on using their assets elsewhere. Moving on now to Tony Romo getting all the money that CBS could possibly offer. $17 million a year for, I think it was at least 6 years. That makes him the highest paid analyst in NFL history. And it's not even close. John Madden got $8 million. Romo more than doubled it. Look, I knew CBS was going to break the bank to bring Romo back, but $17 million? For a color commentator who only works, 20 days out of the year? That's ridiculous. Look, I understand that Viacom, the media conglomerate that owns CBS, has more money than God. I get that. And they have a huge rights deal with the NFL. I get that. I understand that there's no salary cap. I understand that if they want to spend $100 million to broadcast a show in prime time of a man cutting his toenails, they won't file bankruptcy afterwards. But $17 million? He's making more than... I mean, not more than he ever did as a quarterback. There were some years that he made that much. But for most of his career, he didn't come anywhere close to that. Now look, I love Tony Romo, the broadcaster. I like Romo, the quarterback. I love Romo, the broadcaster. I've actually tried, and this is a true story. When I'm at football games or I'm watching football games, I will try to do my best Romo impression. More often than not, I do get it when predicting the plays, and I'm proud of that. Sometimes I mess it up, but look, I love Romo. $17 million, though? I mean, my God, what's Nance getting? What is Jim Nance getting, and how does he feel about this? Because people are talking about CBS bumping Romo to the front of the line and the risk that was. Yeah, it was, but Jim Nance was a big part of it. Nance did not want to work with Sims anymore. CBS was bringing Romo in anyway. It just made sense to try it. Now ESPN is screwed, though. What is ESPN going to do? They cannot go with Tessitore and McFarland again. If you want to go Tessitore, you can. I don't mind him. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's great. There have certainly been better play-by-play guys in the history of Monday Night Football than Joe Tessitore. But he's not terrible. I don't know where ESPN goes to get their color guy now. Do they throw a bunch of money at Peyton Manning? I know that he does Peyton's places, but he'd probably want more money to go to Monday Night Football. Does Rex Ryan get the gig? I think Rex Ryan would be a great color commentator. I will say this, though. I don't think they're going to get rid of McFarland entirely. I think they're going to have McFarland on for the pregame show, halftime, and postgame. Because he's very good there. He's just not good at thinking on his feet. When he has time to think about what he wants to say and prepare it, he's very good. But when you're doing play-by-play, when you're doing color, you've got to be able to think on the fly really, really quickly. McFarland is not good at that. It's going to be really fascinating to see where ESPN goes from here. Moving over now to the NBA, and this is from Jeff Zilgett of USA Today. The 76ers may attempt to trade Al Horford this offseason. Now look, there is no question that the Sixers have drastically underachieved this year. I actually thought they were going to be the best team in the East this year. I thought we were looking at a Sixers-Clippers NBA Finals going into this year. Now, it's still possible. I still think the Clippers are going to be in the NBA Finals. I can't say that I think the Sixers are going to. They're certainly not better than the Bucks, and I don't think they're better than the Celtics. And look, if you watch the Sixers, you can tell that they have a great defense, but their offense is stagnant, to say the least. The way that the NBA is going, you need to space the floor. If you don't space the floor, you're not going to have a good offense. And the Sixers starting five does not have a great three-point shooter. Tobias Harris is good. He's not great. Joel Embiid isn't going to be mistaken for Kristaps Porzingis anytime soon. Ben Simmons has only attempted 6 3-pointers all year. Josh Richardson is shooting 32.5% from beyond the arc. Al Horford is shooting only 33% from beyond the arc. Their leading three-point scorer, when you look at field goal percentage from three, is Shake Milton. No one knew who this guy was before yesterday. And he's going to be the best three-point shooter on a team looking to make the NBA Finals? Yeah, that's not going to work. They have Furkan Korkmaz, who I like. And he actually gets pretty good in 2K. I like Korkmaz. I think he has talent. But you cannot have him as the best or second best three-point shooter on a championship-winning team. Can he get there at some point? Possibly, but it's unlikely. The Sixers went about this like someone playing 2K. They just got a bunch of players with as high an overall as they could get, put them on the court together, and said, make it work. That's not how the NBA is. Look at the Milwaukee Bucks. The way that they have constructed their team is nothing short of perfection. They only have one great player on that team, and that's Giannis. Everyone else is just very good. I wouldn't call Chris Middleton a great player. I think he's very, very good. He's not great. Eric Bledsoe isn't great. Brook Lopez isn't great. Wesley Matthews isn't great. But the reason they're so successful is because of how Giannis likes to play. Giannis likes to play with this crazy 5-out system. You let Giannis handle the ball. You let him do crazy things with his Spider-Man arms. and he'll either drive to the hoop or he'll dish it out to someone who's going to shoot a three. That's the Milwaukee Bucks offense. And it works. As it stands right now, they're the best team in the NBA. They could finish with 70 wins. The Sixers did a terrible job constructing this roster. Can Embiid and Simmons play together? Yes, they can. But the only way that it can work is if they get three-point shooters around them. Josh Richardson cannot work there. Al Horford cannot work there. If your point is going to be that you can't have two non-three-point shooters on the floor together, then you're really limiting where Ben Simmons can play. I'm not saying position-wise, I'm saying team-wise. How many teams have 4 three-point shooters in their starting lineup, not counting point guard? How many centers are there in the NBA that can shoot threes? Seriously, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Kristaps Porzingis? But even then, he's not a true center. He's not as good a rebounder as you'd like a center to be. Kelly Olynyk is fine, but he's not a starter. If you want Kelly Olynyk starting just because he can shoot threes, your priorities are mixed up. The Nets have done that before. It doesn't work. Karl Anthony Towns, yeah. Okay, if you put Ben Simmons with D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns, that's a title contender. I get that. But it's not going to happen. The Sixers did not do a good job constructing this roster. Brett Brown, I'd be stunned if he lasted past this year. I don't think he's a good coach. And ultimately, I do expect big changes in Philly this year. I think they're going to look to get a new shooting guard and either a new small forward or power forward, depending on where you want to play Tobias Harris. New York Islanders show later today, going to be talking about their big arena news and more. I've really been looking forward to the and more. I've thought about that for a while, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The Jacob Valk Show, as per usual, will come back tomorrow. You know the drill. You're a good listener. Until next time, I am Jacob Valk saying that my girlfriend bought me a tie for $135. For $135, it should tie itself in a double Windsor knot.